So here I am preparing my breakfast and my snacks that I laid out the night before. I got everything situated the night before so I wouldn't be stressed in the morning. Made myself some oatmeal and then packed up some goodies because the Nclex is 5 hours and I knew it would be a long day, so I wanted to make sure I had some fuel. Okay, so I'm here. I got here super early. There was just a little bit of traffic. I think it's 6:20. My test isn't until 9:30, but that's okay. I wanted to be here early enough because, yeah, just in case. Just in case. I felt so good this morning. I slept really well last night. And then now that I'm here, I'm like shaking. But you know what? I've studied, I prepared. I know more than I think I know. I can tell because my voice is kind of shaky. I'm like, oh my gosh. But today's the day that I am officially going to be a registered nurse. I am claiming it. Name it, claim it. It's yours. It's yours for the taking. So yeah, so I'm about to eat my oatmeal. Make sure I'm grabbing both of my IDs, and I'm gonna put a little snack in my pocket because the test is 5 hours. And so I'm not gonna say that, but typically I don't necessarily need all the time, but you never know. Today I might need all the times, and you can take breaks. So I'm gonna use my breaks, or use that option today. I had a dream last night that I finished my test in 1 hour and 8 minutes. And so, hey, you just never know. I'm hoping it cuts off at 85, but if it doesn't, that's okay. We're gonna keep going strong. Take those time and just, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I don't know. I got this though. I got this. I have prepared for this for a long time, and I'm ready. On the way here, I passed the hospital and stuff, and then I passed the bulletin boards for the hospital, and so I was like, all right, Lord, you know. So can't stress about it no more. The time is now. The time is now. We coming. Here we come to get you. Yeah. So I'm in the building for my Nclex. I just dropped my friend Avery off. Well, not dropped her off, but I walked up here with her because her test is at 8. And we just met up because, like, that's how we did in nursing school, and just have a familiar face. So that was nice. I feel good. I still feel good. One eternity later.
Just kidding. It was only 36 hours, 24 minutes, and 15 seconds. But who's counting?
Canvas.
I'm still very much in shock. I feel like I should be doing something. I should be studying, and since I'm not, I feel like we're not really. So a couple clips before this show, I was saying that I wanted to test it out 85 questions. It did. The purpose of like speaking over your life is it's crazy. But anyway, so that morning, woke up, I felt super good. I slept very well the night before, and I usually don't sleep well. So we were already working. So I found out that you could go in there and test if a computer is available when I went in. So my test was scheduled at 9:30. I went upstairs again at 9, and the man was like, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." He was like, "Okay, fill this out, blah, 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 blah," all this other stuff. They give you a locker, so you're able to put your bag, your water bottle and stuff like that, because I wanted to make sure that I had everything that I could possibly need, just so I wouldn't be stressed, because it is 5 hours. I didn't know if it was gonna take me 5 hours or not, so I brought plenty of snacks. And so you go in there, and the man was like, basically, "Are you ready?" And I thought he was just asking for comforting measures, I guess, but he was like, "Nah, are you ready to test?" And I was like, "Yes." So my test was scheduled at 9:30. I went in there at 9, and I read the paperwork, signed everything. They scan your fingerprint, like your whole hand, multiple times. They take a picture of you to verify, I guess. But they provide you a locker, so you can take water, snacks, stuff like that. You put your cell phone inside of a bag, inside a Tupperware, into the locker. You gotta take your glasses off, all types of stuff, for them to like be able to make sure that it's not communicating with other people outside. I would say it's probably harder to get into the Nclex than Fort Knox, truly. But yeah, I'm super excited to start my job. They just sent me an email saying the first 2 weeks how that's gonna be and who's gonna be doing my schedule. So this job I got through a clinical, and the nurse managers were phenomenal. The nurses were phenomenal. The techs, everybody. They just work together so well and efficiently, and that was very good for me to see, because they keep saying your first year, it doesn't really matter what type of floor you work on your first year, it's more about the people. And so I'm doing cardiac med surge, and so that really spoke to me, and I felt like it was a sign. So my first surgery was open heart. I think he had a triple bypass. That surgeon, first of all, he's like top tier in the country. I didn't know that until afterwards. But that surgeon was so sweet, so just inclusive. And so I was like, okay. Then my ICU observation was cardiac. So I was like, okay. And I enjoyed that. Then my leadership clinical was on the cardiac floor, and I was like, "Lord, you trying to tell me something? You trying to tell me something?" Because I've seen it, and everybody else in my class has seen. All their stuff was different. So I got offered another job at another place, and I was torn because I was just torn. But I talked to one of my instructors, and she was like, cardiac can lead you literally anywhere. If you know how to read an EKG, if you know how to keep people, alive on the cardiac floor, you're gonna be fine. And so, because the nursing is such a broad tract, I don't know what I want to do ultimately. I'm very passionate about psych. As a veteran, as somebody who is still actively in the military, psych is really something that I'm passionate about. I think a lot of people don't understand what it's like to go through some of the things that you experience as a veteran, because I think the general public has a different idea and perspective. And I'm not just talking about what's going on today, but just in general. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But so that's something that I'm very passionate about. I would love to work with service members and veterans, because I just think that would just be fulfilling for me. I knew I did not want to do anything with children. Not that I don't like kids, because I love kids, but no. And I knew I didn't want to do labor and delivery. I saw a woman have a baby. I was very impressed, but I knew for certain that was not my thing. I just feel like those are the populations where when stuff goes bad, it is really, really, really bad. And that's just not, that ain't my ministry. So as a tech, I worked on an orthopedic oncology floor, and I really like oncology. I think that that's something that is very, very special. Orthopedics, not so much, because there is so much pain. You have to move them every 2 hours. And yeah, I did enjoy the job, and the nurses that I was working with were phenomenal. They were amazing. They would always teach me and show me things. If you're in nursing school, I would say if you can handle working and school, it kind of bridges the gap sometimes. Now, it can kind of put you in a mindset of like, oh, well, this is how they do it in practice versus the book, but it just bridged the gap for me. And I was able to ask a lot of the nurses that I worked with questions of, oh, like, I don't understand this, or can you show me how to do this, or I want to practice this, will you watch me and give me feedback? And so that was very, very helpful. And for most of them, if you get like a nurse intern, extern, I think you basically are PRN, so you have to work 5 shifts a semester or something like that. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. So my school used Kaplan, which for me, it wasn't very helpful. We had a 3-day Kaplan series with somebody who worked for Kaplan, who came and basically taught us how to answer the questions, but the philosophy behind it wasn't making sense, because I would go through the decision-making tree and get the answer wrong, and I'm like, houseway. So basically, which was fine, so I decided I had to go find something else for myself. I will say about UWorld, if you've used Simple Nursing or something like that, it's not like that. It's not going to teach you all of the content. It's not. They, I guess, assume that you have an understanding of the concepts, and they just kind of make a concept map, if you will. So they really went over clinical features, risk factors, nursing interventions, and medications for that. There was no pharmacology section. It was just, if the topic was diabetes, they would go over insulin and metformin and stuff like that. If the topic was, psych, they would go over the medication for that specific like disorder or something like that. So you're not getting an in-depth lecture such as maybe Simple Nursing or something like that, because I used Simple Nursing in school. So I think I took my first assessment 3 weeks out from my Nclex date, and I scored high. It said I had a high chance of passing. My second one I took a week out, and it said I had a very high chance of passing. I think on my first one I got a 73%, and on the second one I took, I got an 81. So I saw improvement, which made me feel good. I was like, okay, I could do this. You just have to figure out what your learning style is and what works for you to figure out what system will work for you. And most of my friends, we've all used something different, and we've all passed so far. So One person used Kaplan, one person used Simple Nursing, one person used Mark, I don't know his name, but used his review. One of my friends used Archer, another one of my friends used Hearst. So it's just whatever makes you feel more confident. One thing I will say is you're not gonna know everything on the test. You just don't. Nursing is so broad. There's so many different specialties, but it's asking you about safety. Like, when you really think about it, how is my patient gonna be safe? How am I gonna keep them safe? My school taught us, if you could only do one thing, what's the one thing that you can do? And that stuck out. And what is the question really asking? Because sometimes they give you a lot of information and then you like, I don't even know what that was for. You focused on that and not what the question is really asking. So just have confidence, read the questions, read them twice before you read the answers. And that's something that they taught us at my nursing school too. It's like, cover up the answer choices. Cover them up. Read the question, and if you like, say for example, like, oh, the patient has Addison's, they've been sick, and they've taken like their original dose, but they feel like they feel crappy. What would you suggest to the patient? And in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, they probably need to up their dose because when you're sick, your body is stressed. So then you go to the answers and you're like, the first one's like, I don't know, give them insulin. The second one is like, give them juice. The third one is like, oh, tell them that they need to call their provider to increase their dosage. The third one, you're like, oh, okay, that's the one that I said. Read the fourth one too, though. But you know, whatever sticks out to you is probably one thing that I will say that I felt like I was kind of not bamboozled, because that's not the word. I don't really want to say that because I wasn't bamboozled. But after I graduated, I just didn't really know how to study. I didn't know how many hours I was supposed to put in. I didn't know where to start. I was very, very lost. Very lost. And that's another reason that I think UWorld really just helped me a lot, because they kind of did some of the heavy lifting of, this is what you're going to study on this day, and this day, and this day. And to be honest, it's not all over the place. Now that I think about it, it wasn't all over the place. I just felt like it was all over the place. I think because one day I would do adult health, and then the next day I would do maternal health, and then the next day I would go back to something from adult health. But then I think about it, a med surge is very broad. So I just, yeah, it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much my Nclex experience. If you are taking it, you got this. You can do it. You're gonna do great. Read your questions, take your time, eat your snacks, give yourself time, and just, yeah, like, believe in yourself. I just think if I could do it, you could do it, for real, for real. And I know people say that all the time, but truly, just have confidence in yourself, believe in yourself, read your questions carefully, read them twice, 3 times if you have to, because you got like 2 minutes per question. So don't feel pressured, don't feel rushed. Just take your time.